closer look at your fur. My goodness, is it ever getting so much better? Yeah, it is getting so much better. It is. Your tail is getting a little bit better. Yeah. And your fur is getting a little shinier and much fuller. I don't see any bald spots on you anymore. That's really good. So about 10 days ago, we had administered some copper boluses to our goats, and I am actually super pleased to see just how fast those are actually working on them. As you just saw, I was checking over Deku, and Deku has very few, if any, bald spots. He's got just a little baby bit on his nose still that is just filling in, but the hair that he was missing and a few spots on his fur has actually just filled right in the last couple weeks, and it's barely even been 2 weeks, so it's really quite amazing. And I'm really happy to see how the other goats' fur is looking as well, and it's so much shinier, and I'm just amazed that it's happened so fast. So anyways, I'm going to be making sure that they get those every 6 months. Because it has helped immensely. So I thought I would take you guys into the garden as well, so that we can just take a quick look and see. So I'm just loving the view when I stand outside the garden and look. This is my first real garden that I've had. We've had some stuff planted in our backyard before, and but I'm really happy with how this is turning out. So I'm starting at the back end of the garden this time, and we have 2 gates, so come in this side. So our cabbages are really starting to fill out there, which is really great. It's really exciting. It's kind of a little bit like Christmas, just waiting for everything to come. And it looks like this guy here might be just sort of dying off, but yeah, I don't think he's gonna make it. Now, these are cabbages, and if you've watched some other videos before, you'll know that some of our stuff got torn up by our goats. Actually, one goat in particular, my daughter's goat, he's the troublemaker around here. His name is Deku, and that's the one we were looking at to see how his coat is filling back in. But anyways, this is definitely not a cabbage, and I'm not entirely sure what it is. I'm still, learning to what everything looks like as it is growing. And I do have some Brussels sprouts in here and some different things. It may be that was a Brussels sprout plant that was started here, and then I was finding the plants all over the garden, and so I had to pick them back up and replant them. So the tags were all pulled out. There used to be some tags here naming what everything was, but anyways, we'll just go with it and see what comes up. So over here, we've got lettuces that are still doing really well. We've got a few different varieties of lettuce. We've got some more lettuce in this bed over here as well. And then we have radishes. Now, unfortunately, with all of the heat that we had in the last few weeks, some of our radishes, they bolted. So they had all these flowers come up and everything, and I tried pulling a few up, and they were actually super woody. They were terrible, actually. So I had tried to trim some of the flowers back and just to see what would happen, but pulling a couple of them out, they're already gone really woody, so I don't think the radishes are going to be any good this year. We've got our peas that are growing tremendously. I've just added a couple more sort of makeshift trellises for this year. Next year, I'm gonna grow these differently. I grew them in short little rows this way, and it makes it a little bit difficult to put a proper trellis or something for them to climb on, just the way they're growing. So otherwise you'd have to kind of have a couple of rows of them this way. So next year I'm going to grow everything long ways, and I think it'll be better. So I don't actually see anything that we can eat on here yet, but they're making progress. They're really growing, so that's exciting. Now again, we've got a couple of things that are randomly growing in here. It looks like there's a couple of, this is supposed to be, I think, a zucchini. This is what the tag says. And couple few weeds in here that I've got to take care of, but it's been pretty good with these beds. We started with cardboard on the bottom and then put a lot of mulching on top, and that has kept the weeds down pretty good. But I've got to get out here a couple times a week and just pull the random few that come up. So we'll see what happens with that, if that is going to be infecting the zucchini that's coming up. And we've got our spinach in here and beets. This is another one that feels like, between this and the radishes and carrots, all the stuff that grows underground, it makes me so curious to see how they're doing and what they're looking like. Some of our spinach did start to bolt a little bit, but I've just picked those off and the leaves are still good. We've been eating some of that. And lots of kale in here. We've got the older plants, these bigger ones, and some new ones that we put in that are also coming up really well and catching up to the big ones. We've got more of our marigolds here. And over here, we've got, this is, well, I don't think that this was supposed to be some climbing cucumbers. So we'll see what happens with that. And that may be what that ends up being, and nothing else in this bed, of course. Now over here, I had transplanted. Now yesterday I thinned out some of the carrots because these carrots were getting quite thick bunches in here. And so I had pulled off some and thinned them out, and I didn't want to waste them. So I ended up trying to move them over to this bed. I put a lot of water down to make sure the soil was really moist. But this was yesterday that I did this, and I don't think they're gonna make it, but we'll see. I am still a little bit hopeful. I keep watering them, and we'll just see if they sort of revive themselves over here. I hate to waste them. So our corn is doing really well. Some of the smaller ones here, but these guys here, these big ones here, I'd be curious to see if we have enough time to get some ears of corn. I'm quite excited to see how that turns out. And what we've got some Brussels sprouts over here and some more of these wildflowers that I just tucked in, that I got a package of and threw in there, so they're kind of pretty. I don't know what else will come out of them. It was just a mix of stuff. And these are supposed to be Brussels sprouts. And over here, now we've got sunflowers that are growing here along the edge, and they may need more space than that. Then again, you have to remember, this is my first time really doing this year, so I'm still learning what's going to need more space, and you know, if things are crowded or whatever. But these are cauliflower. At least that's what my tag says. But I am not seeing anything. I mean, the leaves are huge, but I'm not seeing any cauliflower heads start in there, so I'm not sure. Hopefully they will come up eventually. And again, with this section here, we have, now there was some spaghetti squash that was planted in this area, and there was some sugar baby watermelons. Now we've got a couple of plants that have actually finally started to come up. So we'll see what those turn out. They look more squashish to me, or yeah, like a squash. So we'll see how those turn out. And we'll just have to rely on what kind of fruit turns out coming up, because with the tags being mixed up and everything, I just have to go by memory, what was planted where, and just hope for the best. But anyways, it adds to the surprise, which is kind of fun. So, and again, our rosemary, and oh my goodness, this is my absolute favorite. I just love this rosemary. I could just, oh my goodness, I am really excited for this to come up, and I'm gonna probably put some into some oil or some cream, like an unscented cream, and just add it. I don't know, I'm gonna see what I can figure out, but the smell of that is something I can't share with you, but it is absolutely just amazing. I just love it. We've got our garlic chives over here that are doing really good, and our dill. Another smell that's great, just totally different, but oh, it smells great. Just like smelling pickles. And some more sunflowers. And again, probably planted a little bit too close to everything, but you do things, and then you learn from your mistakes and things that you can improve on. So, you know, I plan on keeping a garden every year, so we'll just learn on how to make, you know, different changes and stuff. So I just added a little bit more straw and soil to the potato towers here, and it's small potatoes that we're growing, and these are something that I can't really eat. I actually have type 2 diabetes. When I had my daughter, I had gestational diabetes, and it was okay for a few years after I had her, and I'm actually managing this really well with eating, and I've managed to stay off of any medication or any type of insulin, which is really good. And so I eat predominantly a vegetarian diet, and I just really don't have not too many carbs, and, you know, really no sugar. So the potatoes are something that I can't have. I'm learning to have different things, like a new thing that I've started to have, which was so exciting because I found out that I can actually add brown rice to my diet, and brown rice doesn't do anything for my blood sugar. It's amazing. White rice, which send my blood sugar right off the charts, but brown rice is just great. I have oftentimes you stick with what you know. So oftentimes I'll have, just about every day, I'll have a salad with a cup of brown rice, and I'll do some tomatoes and some cucumbers and some red onion and a little bit of apple cider vinegar mixed with olive oil, and no salt, but I get a seasoning that I mix in with that, and it's a salt-free seasoning, and I just toss that all together, and it's one of my absolute favorite salads, and my blood sugar doesn't even move. So I monitor it. I don't monitor it, 4 or 5 times a day, but I do check in on it, and I've really, figured out what works for me and what I can have. And so, I've discovered that I can have like a whole grain pasta, and I love pasta. I love pasta and sauces. So this is really exciting that I can have some whole grain pasta and the brown rice, and I love rice. So those two things I can have. I've actually sourced some low carb bread, and it's not so much about the carbs. It's just about, because I know a lot of people do keto and the carb counting is what's super important, but it's actually it's just the glycemic index of the food. And so anything that is like a whole grain is actually really helpful and helps keep the blood sugar down. And of course, anything that's a vegetable is great. So I have to really watch for those things, but it's exciting to discover new things that I can have that just make eating a lot more exciting. And potatoes is something that I just definitely can't have. So I noticed I did give a few potatoes. My daughter and I got some little new potatoes the other day, and we made some corn on the cob and a few different things, and the new potatoes they put my blood sugar up more than I wanted it to be. It wasn't through the roof, but it was more than I wanted it to be. So it's really exciting to know that you can manage type 2 diabetes with diet. It's super important, and I will be sharing pretty soon another channel that I will also be starting, because I am working on my nutritionist designation, and I am at a point where I'm 2/3 through my designation, and I can actually start working with clients. And I am actually going to be doing a YouTube channel for that as well, and sharing different information on that. There's so many people with type 2 diabetes, and all of the stuff that I've learned, not only in the course, but with my personal life, and just things that I know work or have worked for me anyways. And, keto was great. I did keto for a while, but it did have some adverse effects, and I have come to determine that having a plant-based diet is really the way to go. And so, which is our reason for, if you've watched the channel since the beginning, we were considering doing meat birds, but we have now changed to a plant-based diet. My daughter and I'll be sharing more stuff on that page, just little things. She's rolling into teenagerhood and stuff, and, acne and all of those types of things are things that happen no matter how clean you keep your skin and everything. It's what's on the inside that manifests on the outside, and she has really found that eating a nice clean diet, a plant-based diet, has really helped clear her skin. Any little ones that any little pimples that she might get on the odd occasion have just become nearly non-existent. Goodness, the horse flies and the black flies are out. But just changing things from the inside can make such a huge impact on the outside. So that's something that we're definitely working on. So I'm going to step out of this garden here and make sure that I close the gate. Watch out, Hunter, because otherwise we will have a thief in our midst stealing the vegetables. So one other project that I worked on this past week, since it cooled off a little bit, I have been trying to implement some things that can keep my daughter busy and let her have lots of fun while we live here. And of course, animals are a great thing, and she's got a bike that she rides. And this is a new thing that I put together this week. So this is a swing, obviously, and I'm going to actually be adding a couple of hooks. I'm going to be changing the system that's on there, the strap system. I don't find that that's the best thing. It ends up sliding as she is swinging, and so it's not quiet and it doesn't stay still. So I am going to be actually getting a couple of eye bolts and just reconfiguring things a little bit just to make it a little bit more stable so that the swing's not shifting as she's swinging. And I'm going to add a couple more here, and I've got a hammock. So the hammock is going to be something that I'm hoping will be a lot of fun too, so she can either swing or hammock while she's sitting out in the yard and enjoying the sunshine and stuff. Well, we've got it. So it's a beautiful summer, and the weather has cooled off just a little bit, which has been good because it was really hot there for about a week. It was upwards of 36, 38, and 40 degrees, and it was a little bit too hot for me. I am at my best when it's about 18, 19, 20 degrees. That's my absolute favorite, and even a little bit overcast just helps a bit. But today I think we've got 24, 25, and I've got to get started on the grass because it hasn't been cut in over a week, and it's not doing too bad. It's kept down quite a bit because it has been, sort of warmer, and I guess it's just slowed down on growing a bit. But so that's my project for the rest of this afternoon, and that takes me about 2 hours. So anyways, thanks for joining us and having a little update on Deku here, who is doing a lot better with his fur. He is absolutely hating the flies and black flies. But his fur is improved much, and so it looks much better. So that's a good thing, and our garden's coming along really good, and yeah, everything is going really well. So until next time, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon.